Hello fellow travelers, and welcome to another episode of In-Depth Boss Guide series, where we take a closer look at Teyvat's major threats. I'm too lazy to be awesome, and this time we meet Zion, the Dendro Hypostasis, also known as Dendro Cube. As usual, when it comes to fighting a hypostasis, the only way to deal damage to it is to attack its core, which is normally protected. But even then, you can still attack it to gain energy, stack buffs, or apply debuffs to prepare for the next opening. Core of Dendro Hypostasis consists of Dendro energy, so it's completely immune to Dendro, but instead it will react with Pyro, Electro, and Hydro. One thing you should know about using Pyro is that burning you trigger will also deal damage around the core, so if you stay in melee range, it will burn you as well. And if you have Dendro applied to your character, for example if you get hit by boss attacks, it will trigger burning on you as well and will deal massive damage. The core of Dendro Hypostasis becomes exposed during or after certain attacks, so let's take a look at them. During a fight, Dendro Hypostasis can transform into a flower and shoot 3 rounds of poisonous orbs at you. They also leave Dendro puddles on the ground, which deal damage if you stand on them. You can avoid the orbs if you just keep moving. Simply running around and dashing after each burst is usually enough to avoid everything. And I highly recommend you to stay further from the boss during that, especially if you're using melee characters. After this attack, the core will become exposed, and if you stay close, the area around it might become covered with puddles, preventing you from safely dealing damage. Although their damage is quite low, so you can pretty much ignore them, most of the time. If you stay close, boss can also form a whip and perform a 3-hit combo. You can either rely on iframes to avoid each strike, or simply move far enough so it won't be able to reach you. Even though it looks like the core is exposed during this attack, it's actually not. But after the last strike, you will be able to deal damage to it. Dendro Cube can also send its shell underground and try to hit you with vines from there. These vines appear at your position, and shortly after they additionally grow thorns, dealing more damage around them. The core of Dendro Hypostasis is exposed during this attack, so it's better to draw these vines away from the boss to have more time to safely deal damage. Alternatively, you can burn the vines with Pyro to prevent them from growing thorns. Boss can also wrap itself in vines and try to jump on you. It makes 3 jumps in total, and you have to simply dash out of AoE for each one. But if you burn the vines with Pyro in between those jumps, it makes the boss stop prematurely and expose its core sooner, saving you some time. And lastly, boss can teleport in the center of arena and use vines to trap you, forming a circle with them that shrinks every few seconds. After the area reduces twice, boss creates an explosion, dealing massive damage in this circle. There are several ways to deal with this attack. You can avoid being trapped inside if you get far away in the very beginning, but by staying outside you'll miss the longest opening for damage in the fight. The area inside is safe up until the final explosion, so you can stay there and deal damage, and before explosion occurs you can either burn the vines to get out or simply jump over them after they become small. Alternatively, if you rely on aimed attacks, you can burn the vines in advance. The burned section won't regrow, and you will be able to attack the core from safe distance. When you drop Dendro Cube down to low HP, it will enter the revival, or rather cleansing state, and will summon 3 restorative piths in scorched state. If you hit them with Dendro, they will enter normal state and start cleansing the boss. If you hit them with Electro afterwards, they will enter activated state, in which they almost triple their cleansing speed. During this phase, boss also periodically launches corrupted cubes at you, and if they hit one of the piths, it will return back to scorched state, so stay away from them and just let them do the job. You have about 22 seconds to cleanse the boss. If you fail to do so in time, boss will revive, restoring HP depending on number of times it's been revived, but it will save cleansing progress. In order to cleanse the boss in a single phase, you have to either quickly revitalize all 3 piths with Dendro, or revitalize 2 and set one of them in activated state once. So it should be pretty easy if you have the necessary tools. Although Dendro Hypostasis is immune to Dendro and it is possible to win without it, having a reliable source of Dendro application will allow you to handle cleansing process with ease. So I highly recommend to bring any Dendro character just for the cleansing phase. You can even bring 2 of them for decent elemental mastery bonus from elemental resonance if you're going to rely on these reactions anyway. Electro characters will get a significant overall damage boost due to constant free procs of Catalyze reaction, so they will be your best option when it comes to dealing damage. Pyro characters will deal additional damage with free burning procs and also will allow you to gain advantage on certain attacks by dealing with vines. But if you rely on melee characters, be careful since damage you take might exceed your expectations, because burning will deal damage to you as well if you stay close. Hydro, on the other hand, is much worse here since you can only trigger Bloom, and no matter if you trigger Hyper Bloom or Burgeon or not, these reactions will still deal Dendro damage, which boss is immune to. Other than that, there is nothing affecting damage when it comes to elements. When it comes to weapons, I'd say using ranged characters makes the fight slightly more convenient since you don't have to care much about your positioning and can deal damage from any point. There are no characters who would really stand out, but since openings for damage are quite short, it's better to rely on characters with high burst damage capabilities. After building your perfect team, the fight simply comes down to dodging attacks and using openings to deal damage. Nothing extraordinary here. There are 2 hidden achievements related to Dendro Hypostasis that you can earn. For the first achievement, you have to hit the boss with Pyro while it's trying to jump on you. All you need is a quick Pyro attack, and so far you can do it with literally any Pyro character. Just get out of AoE and attack the boss. And remember that break after the second jump is slightly longer, so it's your best chance to go for it. For the second achievement, you have to activate all 3 restorative piths during a single cleansing phase, which means you have to hit all of them with both Dendro and Electro. The main problem with this achievement is that boss will often be cleansed before you finish, so in order to minimize cleansing speed, it's better to hit all 3 piths with Dendro first, then activate them with Electro. The easiest way to do so is to use either archers or mages, but if you still can't make it in time, you can hit the core with Pyro first. Burning will slightly reduce cleansing progress several times and will win you another second or so. Alternatively, just invite some friends and do it in co-op. And there's also a way to do it for true connoisseurs. Anyway, that's all for now, fellow travelers. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.